Kevin Windham, Travis Pastrana, just before the race, has dropped off the gate. As you see the rest of the starting lineup, as we anticipate another good challenge.
A lot of guys that can be a problem tonight for Ricky Carmichael. Ezra Lusk looks fast. McGrath is on a mission. There's Carmichael right there. He's got Michael Byrne to his right. TheEdgeSports.com. There's Lusk.
The 30-second board is up. The revving begins from St. Louis, Missouri. The 250 is underway. Carmichael, the hole shot. But look at Mike LaRocco. Unbelievable. He loves this track. Bar to bar. Can he stay with Carmichael?
LaRocco had an opportunity there to shove Ricky out into those hay bales, and he was a little nice through there. That was the last lap. You'd see a whole different picture.
Ricky Carmichael, LaRocco. Here comes Jeremy McGrath passing Lusk in the loops. Number 4 is Carmichael. 5, LaRocco. There's McGrath and Lusk number 11.
And you got a little bit of a buffer. Casey Johnson, Voss, Pavoni back to Windham. Windham, the only other guy that could really be a problem out front for Carmichael. Carmichael already opening up a lead, Art. As soon as he gets that 30 or 40 feet, man, how do you get it back?
Well, last week he had to prove that even when things go wrong, he can pull things out of the hat. He had a cold, he crashed, he started 4th, and he still won. Now, he's got the advantage that he's taken and dominated other races in that string of victories, and is pulling away from Mike LaRocco.
We've seen this a bunch of times this year. McGrath and Lusk working their way up through the pack. These guys used to be the ones out front battling for the win.
Remember, it was right here in St. Louis that Ezra Lusk put the hit on Jeremy McGrath, put him down, and that was for a second-place finish.
That's right. Big controversy there. Jeremy saying, hey, he intentionally took me out. Ezra going, hey, I just want to get on. I want to get something besides third.
Windham won that race in '98. Since that time, Jeremy McGrath won 3 of the last 4 races here in St. Louis.
Okay, and I'm not sure if Lusk made a mistake or not, but McGrath pulled away from him, got right up on the back tire of LaRocco when they came around the finish line turn. LaRocco came out of the corner, saw Jeremy's wheel there. He's going to start feeling that pressure. That's going to let Carmichael probably have even a few more feet out front.
I suspect the battle will be between McGrath and LaRocco here for second place, because Jeremy McGrath is already out to a 3.5-second lead.
You know, I have a hunch that the setup that McGrath is going for, as we take a look at Windham right here, trying to work his way up. McGrath's setup of the bike, you know, he talked about changing it quite a bit back in Minneapolis. And what you have to do is play the percentages. The setup, the best setup doesn't necessarily get you the best start. If you go for a great setup to get the start, once you get out on the track, you pay a little bit of a price. They're still trying to go back and forth and find that happy medium, but right now it seems to be hurting his starts, Art.
Boy, this kind of domination for Ricky Carmichael puts a lot of emphasis now on the final race of the year, not for the points race, but for the mere fact that he's approaching records for Jeremy McGrath that many thought would be very, very difficult to break, and that is 14 wins in a season and 13 wins in a row.
You're being too nice. Very, very difficult or impossible. I mean, 13 wins in a row, come on. Who can do that with the kind of talent we have right now? I would have never thought Carmichael. Oh, Carmichael just underneath our little graphic there, just about crashing that corner. Pulled it off again. But I just didn't think anybody would have a shot at coming close to that 13 in a row of McGrath, or 14 in a single season. I thought maybe those days were gone with all these guys starting to step up, but Carmichael has found a level. I think he's even faster than what he's showing, Art. He hasn't had to really prove anything more than what he's already done, but when he has to come from behind, it only takes him about 3 or 4 laps to get the job done.
And, of course, for those purists out there, any record that he would tie McGrath this season would have an asterisk, because it was a 15-race season back to a 16 here. Look at this.
He's going to come up way short on this. Gets a little bit of wheel spin. Oh, nice correction. And partway through the air, he was like, okay, what do I need to do to save this? He pulled the clutch in a little bit, soaked up the landing.
His terrific training regimen Got him out of that one. Davey Combs.
Not only in great shape, Art, not only in great shape, but he's a little bit superstitious too. Notice how he's wearing the orange. All the way back in San Diego, he won a race wearing green. Okay, whenever he beat Carmine, or rather beat McGrath at Anaheim in the orange, he decided he was going to run it until the end. And you know what? It's been 9 races in a row. He's worn only orange.
And it would be his 9th straight victory if he doesn't make a mistake here in St. Louis.
Yeah, don't change a thing. He's also got a thing about eating in the same places. Let's go to the same place for dinner.
LaRocco seems to be closing. Paul Delorier, his mechanic, you saw him there with a half smile on his face. This is about the time that LaRocco starts feeling at ease in a race.
Oh, he's starting to pull away from Jeremy. Oh, and Jeremy just behind these guys. He washed out, so Ezra Lusk moves up a spot.
Let's check it out as our cameras were very alert in catching that one. Here it is.
It's the same corner where a moment ago Carmichael came up short. Jeremy gets in that soft stuff, goes down, and by the time he gets up, Lusk went by and Wyndham went by. So McGrath clear back in 5th now.
Ezra Lusk is looking for his 5th podium of the year. Here's Ricky Carmichael coming through those whoops. He is the master this year. We'll be right back to St. Louis, Missouri with more 250 Supercross action in a moment. St. Louis, Missouri, as Ricky Carmichael is looking for his 9th straight victory. The guy behind him, Mike LaRocco, is not giving in, David Bailey.
Well, we always talk about the idea that if LaRocco had 25-lap main events, he'd win a lot. Well, now that Carmichael is in the shape that he's in, I don't know if that would really hold true anymore, because it looks like Carmichael could ride 25 laps, probably 35 laps. He's not off the hook, though, as long as LaRocco's back there. He's only got that little sweeper on him. That's still a little dangerous when you got LaRocco chasing you down.
Here's some other things to consider, too. In 1989, in the 125s, RC went down when he was in the lead. But he had a big enough lead, he won the race.
He doesn't enjoy that kind of a cushion right now. You see him look over just in the air off that jump where he made a mistake earlier. He looks over, sees LaRocco going the other way. The problem is that time he didn't see him because LaRocco was already passed.
He's looking back again as he tears the tear off.
It's only the halfway point. That's when LaRocco starts getting good. And he doesn't have anybody to worry about behind him. And Lusk was closing on him for a while. Now LaRocco's all alone in 2nd. You see him just entering the straightaway where Carmichael just jumped by over the triple.
LaRocco's really one of the big stories, I think, of the season, despite as well as the fact, of course, that Ricky Carmichael is a changing of the guard. But number 5 is a guy that just keeps going and going and going. Pedro Gonzalez right behind him has the helmet cam on. He's not going to hold on to him long.
See that shiny spot in the rut there going through the tunnel? That's plywood. Oh, LaRocco went down right there.
LaRocco, you saw in the helmet cam, barely went down. And here comes Ezra Lusk.
Ezra's like, why did I pick that line? If he'd just gone to the outside, he would have made the pass right there. I don't know if LaRocco could get right up after crashing and get him back. We'll check it out again. Oh, LaRocco almost goes down again. His concentration's a little bit flustered right now.
Check it out.
He was taking that outside line. His front wheel dropped over the top of that jump, washed out. He had nothing there to catch himself with. He tried to put his foot out. Now he's riding around slow. Something, I think, went wrong.
Here comes Lusk, maybe part of the bike. Or maybe he got hurt when he crashed his chest on the handlebars.
Oh, you know something? Something keeps happening to the left side of Mike's bike. I was just trying to follow him around. If you take a look at Lusk, he's solid in 2nd now. Wyndham's not that far behind.
Jeremy McGrath is starting to make a move on Mike LaRocco, who's going through the whoops very slow.
Well, I was watching Mike, and his foot slipped off the left peg several times in a row. I didn't know what happened. All the Laurier going, man.
In case you just tuned in, Ricky Carmichael now has a lot of breathing room. Look
at this. McGrath leaned into that hay bale. got stuck on it when he was behind LaRocco, and he was stuck there. He couldn't get up. He didn't have a leg or an arm to push himself up high enough. So what a lousy night for Jeremy.
So everybody seems to be folding up in back of Ricky Carmichael. Look at this.
There it is again. Jeremy gets hung up a little bit when he goes into that berm behind. He was stuck there. He's just going, come on.
So the one rider who really brought his game, Mike LaRocco, slips out of it. And here is the styling of number 4, Ricky Carmichael. And he's still, look at 57.2 lap time.
I mean, these guys, LaRocco, Jeremy even, I mean, I don't like to say it, but I have to tell you, they all must be sitting on the starting line for the main event going, we can't beat this guy. He's got to have a problem or we're all in trouble. That's what's happening now.
Let's find out if he can tie Lusk as the second winningest active rider in Supercross when we return to St. Louis. 250 main event, Ricky Carmichael well on his way to his 9th consecutive victory in this circuit. But the one great thing about Supercross is there's always a battle going on somewhere. And here's second place, Ezra Lusk, who inherited second place, number 11 on the Team Honda, is being hounded by Team Suzuki's Kevin Windham, number 14.
Kevin has really kept the pressure on, and what set this up, actually Ezra had a pretty good lead over him, but then approaching one of the big triples, Ezra made a mistake in the jumps before, couldn't do it. Kevin jumped right up there, and it's been like this ever since. But the place where there's a difference in speed on the track the most through the whoops, and they're taking the same line. Kevin's going to have to be real creative here.
Ezra Lusk, his best on the year, was a second in the opener in Anaheim, and he's trying to nail down his another second place. But Kevin Windham doesn't want to let it happen.
Ezra Lusk, yeah, I'll tell you what, you talk about guys that ride with a lot of heart. They take chances, throw himself on the sword, wear their heart on their sleeve. I mean, Carmichael does that, but Ezra Lusk might be the next toughest guy in the race right now.
Meanwhile, Mike LaRocco, number 5, who started out so well, is having a horrible night. Right, Davey?
Well, I'll tell you what, he is, Art, but he's got a good excuse. Mike LaRocco has a flat front tire. It's got to be the hardest way to ride a motorcycle. That may have been the cause of his crash. We saw him fall over, but LaRocco gets a good start, and he squanders it with a flat tire on that 20-inch wheel.
How do you ride with a flat tire, David Bailey?
Well, if it's a rear flat, you just pretend like it's a little slick, and you power through it. A front flat, I mean, look at him. He can't even do anything. And it's a 20-inch wheel, which means you got even more traction. You got more knob out there on the ground. It's still bad. He just has to ride around.
Meanwhile, Ricky Carmichael has got about 3 laps to go before seeing another checkered flag on the season.
He doesn't have far to go before lapping McGrath, as a matter of fact, Art. That's what we're seeing right here.
RC has started pounding the first nail in the coffin of the defending champion here in St. Louis. He came into this race with a 32-point lead.
He is psyched out, everybody in this field. Everybody that stays close to him has a problem. You know, whether it's a mechanical problem, or what happened with LaRocco, or bad luck, or a crash, or just getting bit by trying to ride his pace. Something happens to everybody that gets close to this guy. So I don't believe anybody is sitting on the starting line anymore going, I got this guy. And you have to feel that or it's over.
He's made his own breaks. He's cut from behind. He's dominated. He's won a race about every way you can win a race.
And you know what I like about him, too, and I think he's learned this from Jeremy over the years, is he's cocky. I was talking to him a little earlier about a few things, and he's cocky, but he's cocky in a good way. He gives plenty of respect to his competitors. And he's not condescending in any way there, not even by accident. He's very conscious of the respect he gives everyone. But he will go out and get the job done. Here, through this whoop section in practice this afternoon, he made a big mistake, almost went down. He made a corner right out of the tunnel there, did another lap, so he didn't have to do the rest of the track to try to get it right. Then he crashed. He got up and went through there faster than anybody has been through there all night. And that's the way everyone's riding that section now. The guy's got amazing fire.
He's approaching the final lap of this race. And look at Windham. Windham has now moved into second place, but he's 16.1 seconds behind the leader as Ricky Carmichael takes the white flag.
Well, just like all the years that Jeremy dominated, the guys that were getting second there were like, hey, not bad. Feels like a win. And for Kevin right now, especially to fight his way up into it and pass Ezra. You know, and he was pushing McGrath when McGrath made his mistake. This is what I like to see from Kevin, fighting. He's fought his way into a solid second.
Well, he had 3 podiums coming into the race, but his best was a second in New Orleans. And so he's getting back on track a little bit now. But Ricky Carmichael through the tunnel. Good job from Chad Watts, his wrencher. They go through the S's. Carmichael holding destiny in his own hands right now. Oh!
He's got a little freestyle of his own.
There was a time he couldn't bend over that far. The checkered flag for Carmichael. Win number 11 on his career. He ties the mark as the second winningest active rider in Supercross. He has won his 9th straight race.